the Starfleet life with the USS Dauntless. Are you brave enough to be a Starfleet officer? Do you have what it takes?
Greetings. I am Admiral Swart, Commanding Officer of the USS Dauntless. Let me just adjust my settings there. There we go. And this is the briefing with the Admiral for Stardate -251017.1. You'll notice that I'm not in my usual setup this week. My quarters are currently undergoing some maintenance and repairs. So instead of being in my usual comfortable ready room setup, I am using this temporary office space for a few days or weeks. But none of that matters because today we are here to talk about what you can expect in your first week as a Starfleet officer. But before we get onto that, let's talk about the regular stuff, the stuff we have to talk about every time, which is to say that we record these sessions every Tuesday at 12:30 p.m. South African Standard Time. And if you're an active duty member of the Dauntless crew, you're welcome to join us live for the recording sessions here in Discord in the screening room channel. You're welcome to participate in the chat. We also will attempt to stream it live to YouTube at the same time. It looks like it's working today. Otherwise, the videos are uploaded to YouTube and Facebook later in the day, in which point, if you are not able to join us live, you can comment there, and we'll do our best to address your comments or questions in those forums. You're also welcome to reach out to me directly via Discord, Facebook Messenger, Telegram, smoke signals, whatever it is, just not WhatsApp, and I will do my best to address your comments or concerns in that form. If you are not an active duty member of the Dauntless crew, you obviously will not be able to join us live, so you'll have to watch it on those other platforms, and that's just how that works. But if you are active duty Dauntless and you're here in the screening room channel while we are recording, you're welcome to send through questions or comments that you'd like me to address when we get to the Q&A section at the end. Please just make sure when you do so that you mention me. You @tag me in your comments so that it's highlighted on my screen, so that when we get to the end I can scroll back up and see which comments are addressed specifically to me. Otherwise, you're welcome to participate in the chat. There is often a lively chat during these sessions, so please do so. But who are we and why are we here, and who am I? The USS Dauntless is a future-focused action and advocacy group that is at its core a Star Trek fan club. We have drawn inspiration from the fictional universe as depicted in Star Trek, which shows a world envisioned in which most of the problems that we face here and now are largely, if not entirely, eradicated. Poverty, disease, crime, war, etc. And we think that that sounds like a pretty cool idea, and we would like to live in a world that looks something like that. So we do whatever we can, we take whatever action we can in the here and now to help move our world towards that ideal. And that is the action that we take. And that is what we advocate for. We are a chapter of Starfleet, the International Star Trek Fan Association Incorporated, which is the world's largest organized, structured fan group for Star Trek. And we are one of hundreds of chapters in dozens of countries around the world. Specifically, we are based in Cape Town, South Africa, although we have a pretty strong online presence. Most of our stuff happens in Discord, which means that we have members in cities also from all over the place. So we're not limited only to Cape Town, South Africa. We also have in-person get-togethers called away missions in various cities all over the place. And so that is how we do things. But today we're not talking about that. Today we're talking about what you can expect in your first week as a Starfleet officer. Now, to be clear, I want to say up front that this isn't just what you can expect from us, although it is a lot to do with that, but it is also what we expect from you as a new applicant who is joining the Dauntless crew. Now, of course, most of the people in the chat right now are already established members of the Dauntless crew, so you've probably gone through a version of this process before, although this process is being refined and tweaked and adjusted and modified all the time, so maybe you'd be curious to know what the current version of this process looks like. Now, we have covered a lot of this content before in a previous briefing video called Onboarding. But I thought it would be useful to recapitulate some of that content as well as some other bits and pieces that we've picked up on other briefings and condense it into a nice, convenient format that we can send to new applicants like you, the intended audience, so that you can get a sense of what all of that stuff is in one place. So let us begin with this. So on day 0 of being a Starfleet officer, so you are not yet a Starfleet officer. You have been directed to our website either by Google or by somebody flashing you a QR code at a convention or something like that. And you will have found your way through navigating the menus to the Join the Crew page, which is this one here. And here you will find an application form. So here you provide us with all the information that we need from you in order to register you as a member of the crew. Now, we're not interested in extra information that we don't need. We don't, for example, need your home address. We don't need your postal address. We don't need your ID number. We don't need your phone number. None of those things are relevant or necessary for how we conduct operations, so we don't ask for any of those things. Everything we ask for here is stuff that we actually need from you. So that is your email address, because we need to be able to email you things. We need to know your name. Now, this is a little bit more complicated than you might imagine. It's not just a matter of whatever name you choose, because this is intended to be your permanent name for the rest of your Starfleet career. And if you're like me, your Starfleet career could span on for decades. So if you want to choose yourself a silly pirate nickname and insert it here, okay. We're probably going to query that if it looks too silly. If it looks like a real name, we'll let it fly, but be advised that this is your name. So we strongly consider that you use your legal name, your government name, just because this is what people are going to be calling you in Starfleet for the rest of your career. And it's going to be very, very difficult for you to change it after the fact. Please use your proper name, or whatever name it is that you go by, because it should be considered permanent. Email address, again, this is how we contact you. Next, we need to know where you live. So we don't need your street or your postal address, because we're not coming to visit you necessarily. We're not sending you anything in the mail. But what we do need to know is which away team that you're going to be allocated to. We'll learn a bit more about away teams later. We need to know which city you live in so that we know how to group you up with other members in your area. Or perhaps you're the first member from that city, and we need to know that too. And then a little bit of market research. We need to know how you heard about us. So was it from the website, from Facebook, somewhere else, or were you referred by an existing member? Then we need to know how old you are. Basically, we need to know not your exact age. We just need to know if you are a minor or an adult. So are you under 18 or are you over 18? That's all we need to know, because there are privacy considerations that are different depending on whether or not you are a minor. Then we need to know your Discord username. Discord is our primary communication platform of choice, and we need to know how to recognize you when you join our Discord service so that we can grant you the relevant access to the various different parts of the server. After this page, it goes through one or two more pages where you are asked to agree to certain things like our privacy policy and to acknowledge the fact that we will be expecting you to participate and that kind of thing. But this is where all the information happens that you'll be giving us. Once you have submitted this application form, this will then go to the inboxes of several members of the crew, including the recruiting officer, commanding officer, and the first officer, also known as the executive officer. All of those people are volunteers, so they're not necessarily sitting waiting with pressing F5 at their inbox every 3 seconds to see if any new emails come in. They will see the email when it comes, which will typically be within a few hours. Our recommended turnaround time for this kind of thing is 24 hours, so that at least one person has seen and picked up and processed your application form within 24 hours, which is why I have designated this portion of your onboarding process as day 0, because you are not yet a Starfleet officer on the day that you submit your application. So a human being is going to review your application, and they will then reach out to you via email, which is why we need your email address, with a welcome letter. That welcome letter will contain some basic information that you need to know up front. And the most important thing that that welcome letter will contain is an invite link to our Discord. So you follow that link and you will join our Discord server, at which point somebody will recognize you in the Transporter Bay channel and will grant you access to the rest of the server based on what your qualifications are. What are your qualifications at this point? Basically none. But the first one is that you are an active duty member of the crew. That will become clear what that means later as we go. You are an enlisted member of you hold an enlisted rank typically, and it will also be granted. You will be granted access to your away team channel. So the channel for all of the other crew members who live in your city, or if you're the only one, then you'll be the only person in that channel. So that happens. This is a good time to then um, make your mark, to make your first impression. Um, so what's going to happen then? An officer, either a recruiting officer or the commanding officer, will send a welcome message to the bridge channel. You'll find that the bridge channel is where most of the most important conversations happen on board ship. So you send a message to the bridge channel, or you don't send the message, they will send the message welcoming you to the bridge, announcing to the rest of the active duty personnel on board that a new crew member has joined. Now, strictly speaking, there's no response required from you on that, except that in our communications policies here on the Dauntless, we strongly encourage that when you are being tagged in a message, that means that that message is being addressed to you or you are being referred to directly in a message that requires a response from you. You are strongly encouraged to respond. Now, in terms of what that response should look like, that's entirely contextual based on the moment, based on the situation. In this case, when you are being welcomed aboard by the commanding officer or the recruiting officer, the correct response is to say, "Thank you for welcoming me aboard." And this is another aspect of Starfleet tradition, custom, etiquette, if you will. Whenever you are assigned to a new position, it is considered polite to present yourself to your commanding officer. Now, in terms of the fictional Starfleet that we see on Star Trek, that usually means going to visit the captain on the bridge or in his ready room and having a brief meeting with him or her. Now, here in the Dauntless, our structure is a little different. Everything is digital, which means it's much easier for you to present yourself to your commanding officer. The easiest way you can do that is simply by replying to that message, saying, "Thank you, sir, glad to be aboard," or words to that effect. If you like, you can take it one step further and send the commanding officer, which is at the moment me, but I won't necessarily be the commanding officer forever, so it could be somebody else in future. Send the commanding officer a message, a direct message saying, "Thank you, sir, pleased to be aboard, pleased to meet you," words to that effect. That is considered polite and kind of socially obligatory. Not doing that is considered rude. So please, you want to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward, making a good impression by presenting yourself to your commanding officer in that way. Because you want to be building from the very first moment that you set foot aboard, even if it's your digital foot, setting foot or digital foot into the Discord, you want to be starting to build your reputation so that the rest of the crew will think positively of you and will be more inclined to do things like mentor you through the early stages of your career, to offer you opportunities to demonstrate your capabilities in the future and that kind of thing. Building a reputation here is very, very important. And there's no moment that is too soon to start doing that, to start doing your best to show what a capable and valuable member of the crew you are. So that very first message to the rest of the crew is necessary. The fact that the message exists is more important than the content of the message, but that message does kind of need to exist. The next thing that happens on day one you'll find is probably the biggest and busiest day of your first week. The next thing that will happen is that the recruiting officer will begin your 5-day orientation course. And this will look like a private thread being created off the orientation channel on the Dauntless Discord. That thread will have your name on it, and it will say something like orientation, your name. And the recruiting officer will send you a welcoming message saying something like, uh, greetings, recruit. Pleased to have you aboard. We were keen to begin your 5-day orientation course. Please let me know when you are ready to proceed and we can begin. Added to that thread will also be the commanding officer, the chief science officer, who is responsible for training and education, and a mentor who has been assigned to you from the crew. Typically, your mentor will be the existing crew member who recruited you, if there was such a person, or it would be some other volunteer mentor who is signed up for doing this kind of work. Those three members will be in that thread so that they can monitor your progress, and they can also guide you through the sequence of events. They can offer advice, answer questions, that kind of thing, because we want this to be a collaborative process. We want to help you succeed in your first week of being a Starfleet officer. So once you have received that message from the recruiting officer, once again, because you are being addressed directly, a response is required from you. So you are expected to let the recruiting officer know that you are prepared and ready to proceed. And the recruiting officer will then commence your first day of the orientation course. Now, the orientation course, each day is 5 days long. Each day follows the same basic um, sequence, as it were, in that you will be presented with a short YouTube video and a text version of that same video. So it contains the same information. You can use whichever version of it you prefer, and some links. So the video and the text will give you a summary of the topic of that day's orientation course, which on day 1 is rank and titles. And it will give you links to parts of the website where you can go and read a little bit further about how those things work. The last link that will be presented to you will be a test. So it's a multiple choice online exam, 3 questions, really, really easy. The answers are to be found in the links that you were sent. If you want, you can complete the entire course in 5 minutes or less. If you would like to really dive deep and really absorb the material, it can take a lot longer than that. It's strictly speaking not necessary to delve into all that material. You'll find that there are multiple briefing videos on all of these topics, some of which are well over an hour long, where you can really dive deep into how we do things here on the Dauntless. And it's worth exploring those things because it will really give you a total immersion in how we do things. It'll give you a proper crash course. But if you don't have time, that's fine. You can do the quick version, 5-10 minutes tops, and then you're ready to move on to the next day. So the next day, day 2, the recruiting officer will then prompt you to begin the second day of your 5-day orientation course. And in day 2, you will learn about departments and duty stations, which is here. So departments, the structure of our ship is divided up into 7 different departments. Each one is responsible for a different aspect of life here aboard the Dauntless. And you'll be encouraged to browse through all of these pages. I don't have them up in here. Let's just go into one of them, communications. You'll have an opportunity here to scroll down through all of the different duty stations that are that fall under that department. So these are the volunteer positions that fall under communications. You can learn what each of those duty stations does, what it takes to become one of those duty station holders, as well as an overview of what the department does. And if you want to, you can stop there. But if you feel really enthusiastic, and I encourage it, you can watch the accompanying briefing with the Admiral video there, in which we go into a lot more detail about the role that department fills in the Dauntless structure. Now, bearing in mind that there are 7 departments and each one has a video like this which takes about an hour, that will take you an entire day to go through the entire course. So no one will think poorly of you if you decide to skip the briefing videos or only pick one that you're most interested in or something like that, or watch through them at 2x speed or anything like that, or skip the videos altogether and just go for the 5-10 minute version of the course and go straight to the test. That is acceptable too. But point is, all of this extra information is available to you should you wish to go through it, and it's worth going through at least some of it if you feel so inclined, if you have the time. Then on day 3, the recruiting officer will direct you to the next aspect of the Dauntless training, which is uniforms. So you will be instructed on which uniform sets we use here on the Dauntless. You'll be it will be explained to you which is the logical first uniform to assemble for yourself because it is cheap and easy, and you'll be presented with all of the various bits of information about what is the correct insignia, what is the correct equipment, what are the correct color codes, and that kind of thing for the uniform that you will be encouraged to assemble. And once again, there is a briefing with the Admiral video where we go into exhaustive detail about all of these things if you wish to immerse yourself in it. If you don't want to go into all of that detail, again, all the information you need to get through the exam is here on this page and on the linked pages, the Class A, Class B, and Class C. So simply by perusing those, you should be able to answer the question, answer all three questions correctly, and it won't be an issue. Once you have completed that exam, we move on to day 4, where we talk about missions. So missions are the activities that the Dauntless undertakes. These are discrete activities as opposed to ongoing activities that happen every day. Discrete individual activities are described as missions. What a mission is, how it works, how to run a mission yourself, what the different priorities of missions are. All of these are very important aspects of what it means to be a member of the crew in terms of being active and being part of the crew and part of what the Dauntless does. So it's important to have a basic understanding of all of these things. And again, 3 questions, multiple choice. The answers can all be found here. Although this page doesn't currently link all of the briefings that relate to this topic, that'll be updated soon, and you'll be able to find multiple briefings that relate to various different aspects of missions, and you'll be able to find them on this page. Otherwise, if you're not seeing it here on this page, you can always go straight to our YouTube channel, look for the briefings of the Admiral playlist, and you can scroll through there and find anything that might be relevant. And again, 5 to 10 minutes on the at the minimum, or you can dive deep into it for hours if you like. The deeper you dive, the more you'll get out of it, but you can do the quick version, and that's okay. Then day 5, wrong sequence. Day 5, you will learn about our parent organization, Starfleet, the International Star Trek Fan Association Incorporated, also known as Starfleet International, or SFI, or by shorthand, just Starfleet in all caps. And you will learn that being a member of the Dauntless doesn't automatically make you a member of SFI, but it is a recommended upgrade path because it unlocks multiple opportunities for you to serve at a regional and international level. It allows you to climb higher up the rank system. It gives you access to resources like Starfleet Academy, the various Starfleet auxiliaries, and that kind of thing. The principal difference in terms of membership between the Dauntless and SFI is that being a member of the Dauntless is free of charge. We don't charge any fees. There is a nominal annual fee to be a member of SFI. It's $10 US, which is not a fortune. But if you want to get that upgrade, you're going to have to make that purchase. You can do that with any South African debit or credit card. It's easy enough to manage that. And if you have any further questions about how to do that, you can also ask us. So on day 5 of your orientation, you will learn more about what Starfleet International is and some of the resources that you will then have access to as a Starfleet International member. And you'll be encouraged to learn about what it means to upgrade and become an SFI member. Again, it's not required. You can be a Dauntless crew member for the rest of your life and never become an SFI member. That's perfectly acceptable, but it does open opportunities for different aspects of service if you do decide to become an SFI member. So it's worth considering, but not a requirement. Once you've completed your 5-day course, you will then graduate. So on day 6, the recruiting officer will generate and post a certificate informing the rest of the crew that you have completed your orientation, your basic training. It'll be announced in the certification channel on the Dauntless Discord so that everybody can see you and that you have completed it, and they can offer you the relevant congratulations. And at that point, you are now a full member of the crew. You are an active duty member of the crew, which means you are in every meaningful respect a member of the Dauntless. But now here is where your next duty comes up, and that is in making the very important decision about which department you want to serve in. So remember, we looked at these departments. You're going to have to decide which department you want to work in for at least the first portion of your Starfleet career. Command is not available. We don't accept your recruits, but the other 6 departments are all viable options for you to choose. So this is where you'll be drawing on all that knowledge that you've accumulated during your 5-day orientation course, and you'll be seriously considering what you would like your Starfleet career to look like so that you can select a department to serve in. When you are ready to make your choice, you'll make your way to the Dauntless main computer, which is our internal website as opposed to our public website. You will have been given access to the Dauntless main computer during the course of your orientation, and you'll navigate through to the application and report forms, and you'll find the standard position application form, which looks like this. Now, standard position, you'll learn, is different to a duty station in that a standard position is just a generic position within a department. It has no explicit duties allocated to it. You are encouraged to consider, once you have a standard position, upgrading to a duty station, which is a volunteer position that has multiple deliverables allocated to it. But for at least the first little while, it's encouraged that you hold a standard position so that you can get the lay of the land within your department before you decide which duty station you'd like to advance to. And here we just ask the same basic information. Identify yourself, which department would you like to serve in, and if you have any additional comments or questions about being allocated to this department. This application form is then transmitted to the senior staff, who are the command department and the department heads of all of the other departments, who will deliberate on your application. The maximum turnaround for that application is 48 hours. But if everybody is operating at peak efficiency, which is what we expect from Dauntless crew members, we can have that deliberation completed in under 24 hours and make sure that everybody, or at least a majority of the senior staff, agree that they are comfortable with you assuming that new standard position. And then you will be reassigned, which will typically happen, or ideally happen, on day 7. Day 7 of your first week as a Starfleet officer, you will be assigned to your department. Now, your department assignment isn't as permanent as your name. If you decide a few months down the line that you're not happy with the department that you chose to serve in, you are free to change it. You just come right back to the standard position application form and you can complete it again, and that application will go through the same process and you can decide to transfer it to a different department. It's not a train smash, but it is still a serious decision because the record that you served in this department will be on your file permanently. So you want this to be something that you are relatively sure about, or at least be committed to giving it a proper try, making sure that you do your best to be a part of that team before you decide to transfer to another team. Again, nothing wrong with transferring to another team, but it's not something that should be done willy-nilly. You don't want to be doing it back and forth. You want to be committing to a team that you're quite comfortable you belong in or are likely to fit in well with. You'll also have an opportunity before you submit this form, by the way, to get to know other members of the team. So this entire week that you've been going through your orientation course, you're not limited to only talking to the recruiting officer. You have full access to the active duty sections of the Dauntless Discord. You're welcome to jump into any activities, attend missions, have conversations with anybody else that you're having there, that you're encountering there, so that you can get a sense of the culture and day-to-day vibe of the Dauntless, what it's like to be a member of the Dauntless crew, what it's like to serve in different departments. And just about everybody you encounter here will happily answer any questions that you might have about any of this kind of thing. Almost nobody on the Dauntless is going to tell you to get lost if you have questions about their life on the ship. So please feel free to spend that time getting to know everybody or anybody that you come across, asking questions if and when appropriate, and do your due diligence, getting to know which parts of the ship you are likely to be most comfortable in. So when you are assigned to your department on day 7, this is when your Starfleet career will begin in earnest, and you will be introduced to the rest of your team. You'll once again be encouraged to present yourself to your new direct superior, who will be the department head of the department that you've just been allocated to. No one will remind you or encourage you to do this. You will be expected to know that this is a thing that you should be doing because it's polite. And off you go. You can continue with your Starfleet career from then, week 2, week 3, and so on until we get into the hundreds and thousands of weeks as your career progresses. All right, so let us take a look at comments and questions. Let's go back up to the beginning. Okay, so I'm checking to see if I've been tagged in any of these comments in the chat. I have not been, not there. What about on YouTube? Master Chief Kotzer asks, is the Hotmail domain still blocked that may impact correspondence? Okay, so he's asking about the issue with Starfleet International, where it's difficult to get emails out of Starfleet International into either a Hotmail or a Yahoo Mail inbox, and the answer is yes. Frankly, you're going to encounter this same situation in just about any mid-sized organization that you come across, businesses, fan clubs, any kind of organization that is sending out relatively large quantities of mail but does not have the financial resources to have themselves cleared off of spam registers in places like Hotmail and Yahoo Mail. So basically, what you should be doing is avoiding Hotmail and Yahoo Mail. Gmail are a lot more responsive to smaller organizations when it comes to being registered from their spam folders. So although SFI's servers do get flagged as spam on Gmail from time to time, it gets fixed relatively quickly. So Gmail is good, Hotmail, bad. Um, so that's just an unfortunate reality when you're dealing with organizations like this. Another question from Master Chief Kotzer. The duty station rotation option was gold. Getting exposure to each was really insightful and fulfilling. So what Master Chief Kotzer is talking about here is the extended orientation. So this is something that we make available to new recruits who are indecisive and are having a hard time choosing a department to serve in. Ideally, we don't want anybody in the extended orientation program because you really should have received sufficient information in the 5-day orientation course to make that choice. It's only for members who have really no idea where they want to serve and cannot choose where they want to serve. And the way the extended orientation program works is that you are allocated to a department. You effectively become part of that department for a period of 2 weeks, and then you rotate to the next department and the next and the next. It's a measure of last resort and something that we try to avoid using. But if you really, really cannot make up your mind, you really, really can't decide where you want to go, then that is something that we can put you through if necessary. Okay. We got another question from Commander Shimali. Can we discuss retention at all here? What seems to be the gap when working with some of the new recruits, particularly strangers met at conventions? It's a worthwhile discussion, and I don't have the answers. So what Commander Shimali is asking here is that it's something that we've seen where let's drop this. We don't need this. There we go. Now it's just us. When we are out at representing the Dauntless physically and in person. So we're out in our uniforms and we're attending things like conventions and we're meeting people and people are asking us questions about what we do and how we do things and we're showing them our QR code flashcards and they're considering joining the Dauntless. We have it seems to be a numbers game. So for every X number of people who click through from that QR code and actually join the Dauntless, only a percentage of those, X over Y, will actually complete that 5-day orientation course. And of those who complete the 5-day orientation, only X over Z will go further and select a department, and a fraction of those will actually remain active for any portion after that. What we don't have is any good information about why. Why do we have that drop off? Because the people who are they're joining and then leaving, they're not telling us why they're leaving as they're heading out the door. Now, we've made attempts in the past to try and reach out and engage with those people to let us know why it is that they're not engaging, why they're deciding not to remain active with us. And historically, we haven't had much luck in getting any kind of response from them. Whatever it is that chose them not to that led them to choose to not engage with us also apparently leads them to choose not to respond to those outreach attempts. Because frankly, between those two things, retention and recruitment is relatively easy because it's just marketing. It's retention that is the tricky one. And in my experience, the best way to ensure retention, to ensure that people stick with us instead of leaving, is to build relationships, right? To manage those relationships, to reach out to somebody person to person, and and build on that relationship, not only between the two of us, but with the whole community. But it's impossible to build a relationship with somebody who leaves us immediately, who doesn't give us the opportunity to even engage in a conversation or join one of our activities. So um, it's not clear how we can improve that situation, or even if we want to approve um, improve that situation. Petty Officer Davis says, is it worth it at all to have a stall at Comic Con? That way we can hold a semi-captive audience and recruit. It probably would be highly beneficial to have some kind of a physical presence at an event like Comic Con. The stumbling block that's preventing us from doing that is cost. It is prohibitively expensive for an organization like us to purchase a table at an event like that. I am in talks with members of other similar groups to ours, which would hopefully allow us to pool our resources and share a physical presence at conventions in the future. Whether or not that will actually pan out remains to be seen, but the hope is that we can develop a strategy that us combined with other similar groups to us can do that. We can share a space where it's not breaking the bank for any of us. We can distribute the load between us, and we can be present as a coalition, as it were, of non-profit fandom-based organizations who do not have the financial resources to splurge 20,000 Rand on a table for Comic-Con for a weekend or whatever the price may be. So yes, it probably would be highly beneficial to do that, but it's non-trivially difficult to get it right. But we are hoping to pull that together if we can. Another comment from Petty Officer Davis relating to Commander Shamali's question earlier about the uh, members who disappear without engaging is that we don't want flakes anyway, and that is true. Frankly, here on the Dauntless, especially because of the kind of engagement that we have, where we have the values of self-improvement and motivating ourselves and each other to become better versions of ourselves. The kind of members who would prefer to remain passive and on the outside, frankly, are going to find it uncomfortable here. This is probably not going to be the kind of fandom experience that they're looking for if they just want a relaxed, chilled Facebook page or WhatsApp group. That's not what we're doing here. What we would hope is with members like that who come across us and realize that we are not the kind of place that they're looking for, that they would let us know that that is the case, and then we have a starting place. From there, we can direct them to other places where they might fit in. There are other chapters in Starfleet International where they might be more comfortable. There are other groups here locally that aren't affiliated with Starfleet at all that might be a better fit for them. We are a resource for that too. So if you are, as a new recruit, finding that the Dauntless isn't quite the right culture fit for you, that's fine. Let us know, and let us know what it is that we have that differs from your expectations or what you are hoping to find here, and we can do our best to help guide you towards something that might be a better fit for you. Okay, all right. I think that is all the questions that we have for today. So I think we can probably leave it there. This video is already a little longer than I'd hoped it would be, but that is often the case with these briefing videos. So I leave you with this. Your Starfleet journey doesn't begin tomorrow or next week. It begins the moment you set foot aboard. This is where you choose to live the values, where you decide to take your place among a dedicated crew that is devoted to duty, service, and building the future that we all believe in. The Dauntless isn't just a club you join, it's a legacy that you help to carry forward. Thank you. That is all for today. You are dismissed. Swart out.